Well, I've been staring into the camera for for a few minutes now, so crack a soda. Let's uh, let's get started, me and you, huh? It's been it's been a while. There's my hesitation here is to think about the way I want to discuss the thoughts that have been going through my mind. I I feel like there have been so many changes that are externally insignificant. I moved houses. My family came with me. Um, I'm in a different space. You wouldn't know it because the background, but that's some Hollywood magic for you. Um, the I guess the thing that I found really interesting is that I had a lot of on paper positives. And I have, over the past couple months, felt incredibly depressed. Depressed is, it's such a curious descriptor. It's one of those things that we all know based on our own experiences, but my flavor of depression, right? Like the way depression, the depressed subroutine executes in my brain versus yours. We also all know, even though it's a common experience, that it's such a unique and singular experience. I I kind of felt myself magnetically kind of attached to this idea of authenticity and of gratitude. And that was something that really, I mean, it was like a system shock that helped to get me, um, I'd say out of depression, but some ways I'm still wrestling with it. Um, the beautiful sounding phrase, the dark night of the soul. I looked up. It's a Spanish monk. Uh, his idea of the dark night of the soul is kind of this emptiness before you find God. I don't think that's wrong. Um, but I find that part of the dark night of my soul that I've been going through, and the reason why I want this video to be more of just kind of an expose, right? This is I don't have my teleprompter up. I don't have a script. I've got an iPad recording a video, or maybe not. Basically, just want to go through some of the things that I've been thinking of. Gratitude. I watched a great video on how, well, I'll say that I think um, many positive external forces have been trying to get me to pay attention to gratitude over the past little while. And I feel like gratitude is something that everyone can go, yeah, uh-huh. Like if you're able to kind of, capture gratitude, um, it's like, it's better for you. Sounds good. I I saw an interview. I forget who the other person was. It was a Jordan Peterson interview. I don't necessarily watch a ton of Jordan Peterson, but this is something that stuck out. Because the guy he was talking to is, yeah, I'll have to find his name. Um, but they were talking about gratitude as a thing you have to practice. that many people, these are my words, but many people think of gratitude as almost this like Calvinistic kind of thing. If you've been like smacked with a gratitude stick, right, blessed by the gratitude fairy, like however you want to think of it, then you're a more grateful person. And if you haven't, well, kind of sucks to be you. I really appreciated in the moment that, Jordan Peterson saying, but you gotta like choose gratitude. Going, okay, choose gratitude. I, said, yeah, that was a very meaningful and effective lesson. And I felt like it kicked me out of kind of the self-centered and very focused on what I didn't have, things I was frustrated with, kind of moment. But then I slipped back into it. I found that it was about, I don't know, a month and a half later, that I watched another video. This time, I think it was Charisma on Command, channel I like, right? Explores the idea of interpersonal relationships, interpersonal mechanics of charisma and human interaction. And it had a video on how, many different strategies of gratitude and stuff, but the one that stuck out to me was take 10 minutes a day and write down, I am grateful for something. I found this really, really fascinating. I tried it. I tried it for 3 or 4 days. I found that, like, I feel crazy saying this, but I found even on the first day, like it was such a marked difference, such a shock to my system. I think that is the most apropos way to describe my experience with it. I felt like after even a day or two of doing this, mind you, 20 minutes total in a 48-hour period, I felt like I was almost itching, not all over the place. It didn't just like everything's chipper now, but I felt a tiny, twinge of an itch here and there to almost cheesily look on the positive side, to almost in the moment go, well, what's a silly positive I could think here? Right? And that was the weird thing to me, was that gratitude it can feel forced and manufactured and still benefit me. That's weird. I can write down something like, I'm grateful I have legs. Yes, of course I'm grateful I have legs. Anyone who doesn't have legs is going to clearly appreciate the concept of having legs, I guess, if you've had them and then lost them. The exercise was just spend 10 minutes writing, I am grateful for blah. You can picture, and I think this is a Sam Harris strategy. Again, not a guy I watch often, but I want to make sure I credit the people that have these cool ideas. He pointed out that you can simply think, there's some sort of cute psychology phrasing for this, right? The negative framing or something, but it's basically, what do you have now that if you were to lose sometime in the future, that you would think, man, if I could go back to this moment, me having this thing, I would feel like, God himself came down and like gift wrapped like a personalized blessing to me. Just a miracle, right? An answer to prayer. I found again that this was a very manufactured, very rote, very obvious exercise. I guess I imagine being grateful, again, thinking that gratitude is some Calvinistic thing, and when the spirit of gratitude so takes you, you flow with poetic prose of just the amazing things you're grateful for. But when you don't, well, you know, it's not happening today. Maybe I'm not part of that lucky chosen few. And so to see the difference. So I guess this is something I want to share with you in terms of what I learned regarding gratitude. That it was not enough for me to intellectually have the concept ricochet off my eardrums of, hey, be grateful. It wasn't even enough to have someone say, psychologically speaking, human beings can choose to be grateful and can choose that, right? It's not some fateful, predeterminism kind of thing of, well, you're just not a grateful person, so you'll never be able to. You very much can choose. But that was not enough for me. It was when I realized that you have to practice this attitude. And not practices and like practice makes perfect, right? I'm not practicing, and I've missed some days since then. I've got I should have brought it down to my room. I've got a journal that I wrote in giant Sharpie marker, gratitude or suffering, because I was suffering, and I was suffering in a way that I was embarrassed about. I was feeling shame, and feeling the shame made me frustrated and sad. And it was a spiral, right? It was this like downward trend of just, I'd feel frustrated. I'd go, I know I'm being very self-centered right now, and I have people around me that need my attention, and I have a duty to give them that. But where's my balm of Gilead, right? Where's my solace in this? Woe is me. It was practicing in terms of putting into practice, as in a daily or frequent contemplation, a frequent, not just contemplating, but putting it into action. A excellent author, I don't know that I've ever read his side note. I have realized, or maybe it's just really I've given myself permission to be a reader who just listens to books on tape. Because if I could, I'm looking for like a USB drive, right? But if I could like boop, download the information, it doesn't matter if I hear it or if I read it. If this offends you, this is cool. Like you keep being a reader. I just want to get the information. There's an author I really like. His name's Stephen E. Robinson. He wrote a book called Believing Christ. I'm a Christian guy. He's a Christian guy. If you're not into Christianity, religious, don't bail quite yet, right? Take the non-theological life applications, of which there are a few. Or at least a few, I should say. He talks about how if you believe that like Jesus is this guy who grants forgiveness for everyone but you, right? That it's like, wow, the power of, like having your soul cleansed, right? Like what a powerful concept. But you yourself are going, but it doesn't work for me. Right? It's like, well, wait a second here. Like, pretty sure theologically, he said that it's available to everyone who wants it, right? I'm obviously moving swift and loosely through the theology of Jesus Christ. So, if you would like me to give a log series and sermons on my understanding of such theology, leave a comment down below. I will be happy to happy to indulge you. But as much as I have a deep love and fervent passion for those topics, again, I want to make sure that we're kind of applying lots of different things I've been thinking about here, is all. But I realize it's the same thing for me of going, well, yeah, gratitude, right? If I'm sitting there going, well, gratitude, what a powerful thing. Oh, look at this. Here's, because I've heard my religious leaders, right? People I revere as prophets and great teachers, right? Go, oh yeah, like gratitude, right? I mean, again, Jesus himself, right? Like, like thanking God in the Lord's Prayer for your daily bread, and like, oh yeah, awesome, right? Gratitude, a big thing. And you look at psychology, look at like Eastern religions, right? Hinduism and things like this, going, oh yeah, you like gratitude, super powerful, right? So it's like every wise person from here to kingdom come has recognized that gratitude is such a powerful, moving thing. But when's the last time I actually sat down and practiced gratitude? Well, that seems cheesy. Or, oh well, it won't work if it's not some deep, profound. I'm writing Tennyson level poetry, right? Like Kipling level poetry here in my little journal. I'm living in a dark room, espousing the virtues, the power, the amazing, awesome wonder that is electricity, as I sit in this room and I don't ever turn on the light switch. That was Stephen E. Robinson's analogy. And it's so, I heard that 20 something years ago, and it was funny how much that really felt like it kicked me in the spiritual teeth recently, right? That it is a different thing, or that is to say, there's a difference between conceptualizing a thing, right? Like understanding a concept well enough to like regurgitate it to somebody going, hey, quick, explain this concept. It's a totally other thing and a much more significant benefit to you, the person, to me, the person, to practice it, to actually walk those steps, right? To make those maneuvers. And it's wild how much this applies to so many things. I remember talking to a buddy of mine years ago, and I really need to have this guy on the channel. Kent, one of two awesome Kents that I happen to know. I'd love to have both of them, but I remember talking to one of said excellent human beings known as Kent, that I found it curious how easy it was for me to just watch a bunch of YouTube videos on photography and then be almost insidiously, right, incredibly sneakily lulled into thinking, now I'm a better photographer. But I'm not a better photographer. I'm a guy who has sat in the dark room and, I don't know, somehow read by Braille the encyclopedia on electricity, right? I've sat there and watched other people execute. But there is a difference for the human brain when you go through the process of executing a principle for yourself. I found that even over, honestly, the past year, it has been incredibly humbling and difficult to be I've been called upon to be in a leadership capacity at work and at church, right? My theological pursuits, my religious activities, and I found it so fascinating that it was so easy to think of leadership principles and to almost even fake myself into thinking I had made progress on such things only by thinking. And I think to a certain extent, also when you tell people, right, and you say, oh, yes, there's this principle that I'm going to live and I'm going to figure it out and I'm going to put this into practice, that it can be easy to, in the same kind of train of, action or inaction, right, of thought, that you go, yeah, well, yeah, I basically did it, right? I mean, this is psychologically, your brain goes, well, this is the basis behind, like, psychotherapy, right? This is getting you to talk about, to think about, to get as close to actually being in the moment of talking to your abuser, to revisiting, with your own, psychological permission, so to speak, like going through some of these, like getting close to the edge of the traumatic experience. That very much helps you to process through these things. It's a miracle of the human brain. It's amazing, absolutely fascinating. But the downside to this is that we can inadvertently use the same mechanic to lull ourselves into a false sense of progress. And it is wild to see how easy that is for me. If you feel the same, please comment down below. I would love to hear, dear viewer, if you have experienced the same kind of thing. I'm actually going to break it off here because I am very eager to share kind of a part 2 of this video series where I really want to go through kind of the second big piece that has helped me to, again, I wouldn't say necessarily to get like entirely out of depression, out of a funk, at least in some sort of sense of permanence. I'm still struggling with things. I was so worried about work and the continuation of my job for reasons inconsequential for this video, or maybe any video. I don't know, ask me in 10 years. I was so worried about it that I got like 2 hours of sleep last night. I went to bed at 10:30, and I kid you not, I lay there for 3 or 4 hours, tossing, turning, staring at the ceiling. Finally came down to my project room and played guitar for, 45 minutes at like 2 in the morning. So part 2 will be out shortly, and it will be discussing kind of the other big factor involving authenticity and what I am discovering. I'm in the process of discovering the power of not just hearing about the concept of authenticity, but to really sit down and think, what is this? Who am I? What is my kind of my internal compass, and what does that look like? So I really appreciate you being here, watching this far in the video. I've been debating making this kind of video for a long time. Honestly, that's part of the frustration, the depression, is going, I have things I'd like to share, and I don't know if anyone cares. But that's a bad way to approach it. One, because, and thank you to Larry, a couple of the other random people, Scott, like some of these other people that like just, you guys have come up to me throughout the years and just been like, hey, like I saw that video. I'm like, dude, I didn't even know that you even knew I was on YouTube, period. And the idea that people are like, I saw it and I found it motivational. Oh, that really makes a difference. Um, I'm finding it's not because I want the world to, if I could somehow do this like with some like, dark, like shady cover that wouldn't look like I was either in the witness protection program or a serial killer, um, I would do it anonymously because I'm not, I know how this is going to sound. I don't want the fame. I know I'm putting this on YouTube. It's public, right? Like to a certain degree, yeah, of course. Like if you're gonna make a thing, you want lots of people to see it. Fine. It's not even that like people go, "Hey, I saw you on YouTube," right? That's like, okay, well, cool. But the people that like, ooh, that felt like that was an interaction that like set my soul on fire. Um, or when people say, "Hey, that bit of like wisdom or a practice that you invited me to put into practice the other day, I did it and it actually made a difference." Like that's like, yes, like I love that because I got to play a part in someone's success story. And it's really because I love hearing people's success stories. I love hearing of success. It's so easy to find so many stinking negative things in this world. It always will be, right? But it's a way for me to get invited to practice gratitude with somebody when they say this was something that made a difference. So join me next time. I'm going to talk about my exploration in authenticity and kind of the points that I came to, which I'll tell you now, I'm a little scared to share them on YouTube because they're a little wacky. Uh, but they're me. And in that way, I'm kind of excited to share them with you. So, I'm Neil. You're awesome. Let's hang out again next time.